You from New Jersey?
I guess I feel potentially some good news though out of Jersey, as I feel maybe what we need just in time in 2020, what we need to save really all of humanity will be coming in the form of a New Jersey superhero that
Yeah.
will be making his grand return, and with some more huge news coming out, as one of Jersey's biggest icons will announce this week will be portrayed by one of Jersey's smallest superstars, as very exciting news, way more exciting than the vaccine or the Biden win anyway, but the Toxic Avenger reboot officially announced, and starring Mendham's own Peter Dinklage, which was a great piece of news because I didn't first of all didn't know that Peter Dinklage was a Jersey guy. After, like, of course,
I didn't know that either. Yeah, I didn't know that.
after Peter Dinklage, who of course, getting being such a big star from the Game of Thrones for the last couple years, as well George R.R. Martin, as well the writer of Game of Thrones, is a Jersey guy. So George R.R. Martin, the writer of Game of Thrones, Jersey guy. Peter Dinklage, Jersey guy. I think they filmed a lot of Game of Thrones around Newark, if I'm not mistaken.
No way.
Yeah, no, it was. I think. No, that was North Ireland that they filmed. I was
Wasn't he the
confused. I thought it was Patterson, but
Wasn't he an elf too? Was he the midget in Elf? He wrote. He was the book. He was writing a book. He was like the. I thought he was the author that was going to write the children.
okay, totally possible. I get.
Yeah.
I mean, I get him confused sometimes.
Yeah, you got to know your midgets.
Yeah, exactly. I get him confused with the little guy from Bad Santa, even though he's black. Somehow I get them confused. Somehow.
That guy's cool. That guy's cool.
Well, they're both cool, and now
Yeah.
the Dink
No, they are
especially.
both cool. They are both cool.
And now, especially with the news that the Dink is going to be playing the Toxic Avenger, which sounds pretty sick. Of course, the Toxic Avenger has kind of become one of like the classic cult movies, and really kind of just like a movie known more for just being like a famously bad movie, you know,
Yeah.
like one of those so bad it's good. But now they're getting a chance to right the wrongs in some ways. But of course, the premise here is a bullied janitor gets chased into like a pit of toxic waste, comes out the other side as a toxic avenging superhero, like anti-hero, fucking badass
Mutant.
yes, exactly. So I feel like Peter Dinklage, perfect casting job in one of the
Perfect
iconic Jersey
superhero.
movie. Huh?
Perfect superhero for New Jersey.
Yes,
Toxic.
exactly. The Toxic Avenger. Do you have
It's
any
like
other
those
favorite
Jersey
Jersey movies, though? Because there are a lot of movies that take place in Jersey. However, Toxic Avenger, like, literally might be the most famous, like, other than the fucking Kevin Smith catalog. Do you have anything more famous than the Toxic Avenger?
Yep. War of the Worlds with Tom Cruise. That starts in Bayonne.
Okay, yes, that's right. Well, that's, of course, the old radio fucking, who was the guy that did War of the
Orson
Worlds?
Welles.
Yes, the old Orson Welles, like a radio, groundbreaking like radio broadcast. That you're right, they did
Yep.
turn that into like a high budget Tom Cruise picture.
That was a
And does it
great
literally
movie.
start off with fucking like the aliens attacking Bayonne?
Yeah, it was a great movie. Yeah. He lived in Bayonne, right by the bridge there.
Okay, sick. Nice. I mean, that's the first time you're ever gonna the first and only time you're ever gonna see Tom Cruise in Bayonne. All right, that's
Yeah, that's where Chuck Wepner lives, though. He used to live. Chuck Wepner. He was the guy that Rocky was written about, and he was a boxer. He was Bayonne.
Okay, nice.
The Bayonne Brawler.
The Bayonne Brawler. Well, of course, another one of the great Jersey movies is definitely Cinderella Man, which was, of course,
Yep.
about the James Braddock.
James Braddock.
Yeah, the Bergen
Yeah.
Bulldog, starring Russell Crowe. That's definitely like one of the definitive great Jersey movies, because he's one of the
Awesome
definitive
movie.
great icons. Another one of my favorite, and I guess there's also the Hurricane, that Hurricane Carter
Right.
with
yep,
Denzel.
yep. And on the waterfront too, with Marlon Brando was in Hoboken.
Okay, yep. That's
Or Bayonne, one of those. I'm not
yeah,
sure
I think
which.
Hoboken, because that was definitely like in the like you said, the 50s with Sinatra, and Hoboken was like still had like some respect or clout in the world, you know. Like
Yeah, before he was throwing women through plate glass windows.
before that part of his career, before that era of Frank's career, when he was a crooner and not a wife beater, and it was
Right.
until the Vegas days when he was both. You know, it was really. However, I kind of just I did allude to a little bit at the beginning, but definitely in more recent years, like the Frank of the new generation would be Kevin Smith, probably, especially with the movies, like all of his
Yeah.
movies, so famous and synonymous with Jersey.
Yeah. Clerks, Dogma,
Chasing Amy,
Mallrats.
of course, Mallrats. Probably my
Yeah.
fave. Probably the one that most resembled my childhood as like a suburban asshole from Jersey going to the mall. And I guess actually there was the Kevin James Mall Cop movie that took place. That was like a Jersey mall.
Yep. I actually have the Silent Bob and Jay action figures still in the packages.
Okay, nice. Major collectible. Keep
Yeah.
those on ice for the next 30 years and watch the money start rolling in on the Jay and Silent Bob. I guess as well, they're much like the Toxic Avenger coming out this year, but there's also the Many Saints of Newark comes out this year. That's the Sopranos prequel starring James Gandolfini's son as a young Tony Soprano. And
When is that coming out?
that's coming out. I think it was already delayed because of COVID. I think it was supposed to come out in 2020, and I think it's scheduled to come out early in March, early in 2021. I think like maybe even like March of 2021. That was initially supposed to be like a theatrical release, like you know, like not on HBO. Is going to be in movie theaters. But
Wow.
HBO Max just made a deal last week with Universal where all of their movies are going to be streamed to HBO Max. So especially this year where, you know, like the movie theaters probably aren't going to be opening up in, you know, large parts of the country in regular, you know, regular form anyway for you know, for at least by March when Many Saints is set to come out. So you will be able to watch it on HBO Max as well as, you know, movie theaters or you know, individual streaming or whatnot. But that's going to be a huge movie for Jersey as well. I'd say potentially a little bigger than Toxic Avengers. There's a chance that James Gandolfini's son might get a little bit more publicity on the late night talk shows than Peter Dinklage for the Toxic Avengers. But that's going to be real exciting as well for Jersey.
Yes. You know how good that's going to have to be to like live up to The Sopranos.
Yeah, that's a great call, actually. It's definitely going to be a huge, overwhelming disappointment for everybody involved. But going to be really good to get to, like, the nostalgia of The Sopranos back and, like, give us all a good reason to rewatch some old Sopranos episodes. But, no, you're right. And especially really, really difficult for, I believe his name is Michael Gandolfini, but I'm not sure about that. But James Gandolfini's son, who, you know, taking over, like, the iconic role of your father, I mean, such a tough call. You know, even if James Gandolfini was still alive, it would be such a high-pressure, weird situation. The fact that James Gandolfini obviously passed away a couple years ago, really, like, what a storyline that will be. And honestly, it'll be just amazing to watch. Like, it's a must-watch just in terms of that story to see how Gandolfini's son portrays, you know, Gandolfini. And I think actually he plays like Tony's dad in the movie. You know what I mean? Like Tony's son, Michael Gandolfini, the character he plays would be Tony Soprano's father, I believe. And there's like a young Uncle June running around. It's going to be sick.
That's like Godfather 2.
Exactly. Kind of in essence like an origin story of the Soprano crime family. Lord knows how little Steven's gonna wind up in this fucking movie, but you know he's gonna be there somehow.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, man.
You know, I ran into the guy that played he played what's the nephew that got killed with the branch going through his chest. He was the
Christopher Michael Imperioli.
Yes, I saw him outside of the West Side Comedy Club, and I was out there. I'm like, yo, dude, you're on my wife's list.
What do you say? Did he take you up on it? Hey, I'll follow you home. Where do you live?
I said to him. I said, I wish she was here, dude. She's hot. I'm like, you're on her list. And then he's looked at me and started laughing. I said, I used to be on her list.
I got replaced by you, unfortunately. I was on the list until she's.
Yeah, she loved that guy, man. She would have been all over him.
Yeah, man. I mean, he was everybody's favorite character, and I guess from the show, like, who else is she gonna want to fuck? Uncle Paulie? You know what I mean? There weren't a lot of attractive guys on The Sopranos. Let's be honest. It was.
I couldn't think of his name, and I'm going, Christopher.
That's probably all that guy gets is Christopher.
And he was with somebody else, and they were trying to be like, you know, he's like, oh God, and they got stuck crossing the street, and I was right outside it.
There's also a guy that seems to a guy that seems like he wouldn't appreciate a bunch of assholes from Jersey trying to like tell mob stories more than Michael Imperioli. He's like a real actor, and like if you hear him talk, he's like not like a Jersey mob guy. He's very much of like a serious, you know, like a off Broadway playwright, and he has like a off Broadway theater company and all, and he's like just much more of like a thespian than a Goomba, you know?
Right. And I'm screaming at him, my wife wants to fuck him, you know?
I mean, some things you should be able to appreciate, you know? I mean, that's a compliment no matter what culture you're from. Fuck, but...
If he saw her, he'd be thrilled. Believe me, she's hot.
Come back to Jersey, you moron!